What's poppin', y'all? My name is Quirino, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a beat making template in FL Studio. Now, this particular tutorial is catered more towards the beginner or maybe intermediate user of FL Studio. So if you're already advanced and you've been using this program for quite a while, bro, you might not really learn anything new, but just keep watching the video. You never know. You might get a little bit of some tips and tricks that maybe are going to come quite in handy. So like I mentioned, we're going to be covering the basics. That is, I'm going to show you how to route either VSTs or your samples from the channel rack to the mixer, and how to rename your mixer inserts, add a little bit of color and some little nice icons, as well as creating groups. And then finally, we're going to add some buses for our effects and all those nice little colorful elements that we usually use to make beats. In order to make sure that everybody follows along, I'm going to be using the default plugins that come with FL Studio. But remember, you can replace all of that stuff that we're going to use with anything of your liking. At the end of the day, this template is supposed to speak to you, and it's supposed to be something that inspires you, so you can do it however you want. Webster's dictionary says that a template is a form, a mold, or a pattern that is used as a guide to make something. Or simply put, in our case, we're going to be creating a file that serves as a starting point for our creation process, which is beat making, right? Why on earth should you even bother creating templates? I mean, FL Studio already comes with templates on its own, so why do you need to create another one? Can't you just start using the one that you already have? Absolutely, you can. Creating a beat making template increases your workflow by taking away all the technicalities that we waste time dwelling on. Am I choosing the right VST? Is this the right plugin? Is my EQ good enough? Or is this reverb going to sound good? Which reverb should I choose from probably 11 reverbs that I have? You want to set up all the technical stuff before you actually create, so that you can just get your idea out there. If you have to tweak certain settings and things like that, then you can do that after you've already laid down what you want. Now that we got all that gibberish out of the way, let's actually hop into FL Studio, bro. That's what we came here to do. And then I'm going to show you how to create this beat making template. Remember, I'm showing you this in FL Studio, but pretty much the same principle applies even if you're not using FL Studio. Okay, so now that we're done with all that jibber jabber and all that talking, the default FL Studio usually opens up like this. So you got your basic, your kick, your clap, your hat, your snare. The mixer, you know, is just blank and all grayed out like this, right? If you come over here, there are all these other pre-made templates by FL Studio that you can use. But again, who wants to use that? We're going to create our own. That's the whole purpose of us being here, right? Okay, so personally, I like making boom bap beats. We're going to use that, or a typical hip hop beat, as an example, right? The first thing that I like to do is add any VSTs that I know that I commonly use. So I like to come up with that first, and then I like to make sure that I add all my VSTs, all my samples to the channel rack itself. This is the playlist, this is the piano roll, this is the channel rack, this is the mixer. So we're pretty much going to be using the channel rack and the mixer today. Let's get rid of all of this nonsense because we're not going to need it. Boom, the power of editing. FL Keys is a really good plugin to start, you know, playing along with your melodies and such. It's pretty good. Sometimes if FL Keys is too stabby, right, you can go to instruments, go to keyboard, choose this one that says a clause grant piano. All of those are pianos. This one sounds, it's much nicer. It sounds a little bit warmer. So now we have our pianos laid down. I also often use Slice X to chop up my samples. I also use a lot of Fruity Slicer, so we're going to add Fruity Slicer as well. I also make sure that I just leave the sampler there by default, just in case I want to copy some melodies. Usually I like to copy some melodies and put it there. I will also add in some basic drums, your kick, a snare, boom. Then we got a snap, why not? Boom. Good old hi-hat. So pretty much this is what I would start with. So I have my pianos there, I have my Slice X, Fruity Slicer, FPC if I want to use a drum machine, a kick, snare, snap, a hi-hat. So you can add whatever it is that you know are your go-to plugins. The next thing, we're going to leave it like this for now, and we're going to go into our mixer. I like to separate my sounds. Like I said, if it's a hip-hop beat, you pretty much have the instruments or the musical part of the beat, which we usually call them the melodies. I'm going to assign specific inserts for my melodies and specific inserts for my drums. Insert 1 up to insert 10, I'm going to make them all melody inserts. So if you control shift, right, and highlight everything from 1 to 10, right, and then you right click and then you say rename color and icon. That's what we're going to choose. Rename color and icon, and then we're going to just call these melodies. Click this gray button right here, pink as the color for my melodies, and then for our melodies, let's put a piano, then we enter. The next thing, we're going to move on to drums. Usually I put a little bit more because I probably use more sounds for my drums. We're going to do the same thing, highlight, rename color and icon. We're going to call this drums. So now we got our melodies, we got our drums here, and then we have a whole lot of extras just in case we need an extra kick. You dig? I want to have a separation between the melodies and the drums, and also the drums and the extras. So if you go where the drums begin, and then you right click, and then you either say separator or create group, the same thing happened. Boom, it separates them like this. So we came from the channel rack, now we're in the mixer. We've already renamed our inserts, added a little color, some nice smiley faces, and then we've added some separators to be able to distinguish between who's what and what's what. You dig? Let's keep going. So the next thing that I like to do is I want to make sure that all my inserts that are representing a common cause, for example, all of these guys are melodies, right, are also routed to another like further melody bus, just in case I want to decrease the volume of all my melodies, right, at once. I don't have to pretty much do things individually. We're going to call this insert 36 melodies group. We're going to do the same thing for the drums. So now we have our melodies group, our drums group, and our extras group. These melodies, right, are then going to be routed, or they're going to be directed to go not straight to the master like they are doing, but to their respective groups. So what you do is very simple. You just highlight everything, and then you're going to go to the insert that says melodies group. Down here, if you look, there's a little upward arrow. When you hover it with your mouse, it's going to be activated and turns green. You're going to right click, and then you're going to say route to this track only. Boom. Once you do that, it means that your melodies, right, or whatever that is acting as your melody is going from the channel rack, right? From here, it's going to be directed to the mixer. From the mixer, it's going to be directed to the melodies group. And from the melodies group, it's going to go out to the master. So now we have our melodies, we have our drums again, and then we have our extras now going into their respective groups. So let's create a reverb send and a delay send. Add in your reverb. So we're going to go with Fruity Reverb 2, which is a classic. Everybody knows that. Make sure that the wet is to 100%, and then just tweak in any parameters that you would like. But again, you're pretty much going to change this depending on what you're actually making, so it's not gonna matter, right? Pretty much the same thing like we did for routing these to a group, but rather than now saying that route to this track only, you just say route to this track. So as you can see, the melodies are still going from the melodies to their melodies group indicated here, but also a part of that signal is being sent to the reverb. And this then becomes your knob on how much of the melodies or how much of that insert you actually want to be sent to the reverb. This then becomes your dial on how much that you want. Another way you can just simply do this without having to worry about right clicking is you just simply left click this arrow right here, boom, and then the same thing happens, right? So this becomes the fader. So you do that for your reverb, you do that for your delay, you do that for any other FX channels that you also require, right? That's pretty much what you do. The melodies, the drum groups, the extras group, and the reverb as well are all then going out to the master. I don't like that. I like to make sure that I keep control. So we're going to add a couple more groups That makes sure that only one source of signal, right, from our actual mixer is then going to be sent to the master to make sure that we keep everything as controlled and as well handled as possible. Okay, so finally, after just following the same steps that we did to create all the other buses, I've also added this one that says the melody pre-master, the drums pre-master, the extras pre-master, and then the final pre-master. The melodies group is going to go into the melodies pre-master insert. The drums group is going to go into the drums pre-master insert, and then the extras group, you know where that's going. And then I've also created the final pre-master to make sure that everything goes through the final pre-master before it goes to the actual master output. The next thing that you have to do is to add the plugins that you usually use. If you don't want them to be consuming CPU power or your CPU, because I know that not everybody has a powerful laptop, trust me, I know how that is. You actually just turn off anything that you think that you might need to use, right, in any of your inserts, be it from Melodyne to Autotune, like I said, to distortion. Just add it beforehand. So I'm actually going to show you a bit more advanced version of this, right? What I use when I actually want to start creating beats, I'm actually going to show you, but this is pretty much the basic way on how you do this. This is the template that I use to make my beats. As you can see, this is exactly what we've been doing. So I got my melodies, I got my drums, I have the extras, which usually is where I put my 808s and my bass. I got the melodies group, the drums group, all my reverbs and delays and flanges and whatever else that I need to use. I got the melodies mix and the drum mix, and then I have the pre-master bus. Okay, so basically that's just how you make a beat making template in FL Studio. This was just a basic quick rundown of how to do that, but trust me, anything that we did in this video can be applied to any DAW, can be applied through multiple levels of complexity for any genre that you want. Just make sure that you just take your time and actually improve. Simply because you started off basic doesn't mean that you have to end basic. Maybe you might have to start with a template when you're starting out, but you might see certain advanced people who may swear and say, nah, you don't need that. That's actually a waste of your time. At the end of the day, what we want to do is to make sure that you take whatever's going on in here and put it down so that you can actually be able to express yourself wholly without having to fumble with any of these other things. If you know a better way to do some of the things that we suggested in this video, please comment down below, suggest. I'm still learning and I want to learn with you, and I want you to tell me how I can better myself so that you can also better yourself and the world can benefit from us. There aren't any hard and fast rules to creation, and even if you might be a beginner now, even if you're an intermediate, trust me, at some point you're going to be the person that somebody's looking up to and be like, damn bro, I wish I can make beats like such and such. It's just a process. We all learn every day. Please smash that like button, subscribe, tell all your friends, bro, I'm trying to grow. Besides all that, let's keep creating, keep pushing forward, keep learning, keep growing, and let's keep making these bangers, my slime. I'll see you on the next one.